Johnny Mathews, are you in good fettle?
Huh?
Whatever that may mean. In other words, you're full of lies this morning and old stories and tales.
Well, like I said, I was a kid only 5 years old when I come to this island.
Yeah.
And we come from Rockport on May of 1910. And we moved all of our furniture and a cow and a calf and a horse and a buggy from Rockport on an old two-master sailing boat.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Remember this boat that they dug up out of the
channel?
Channel out there?
Yeah.
Well, the same kind of boat.
Oh, is that
Same
right?
kind of everything. Belonged to old Captain George Roberts.
Is that right?
Yeah, he lived in Rockport then.
Yeah, yeah.
And he moved us over here, moved all of our furniture and everything over here. And then the family moved over on the mail boat. Mail come out of Rockport those days.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Come out of Rockport those days. And landed down here at Klein's Point, what they call Klein's Landing.
Yeah, right.
And when we got here, we had to wait. We got here about somewhere around just before noon.
Yeah, yeah.
And old Captain George Roberts and his boat things, they left by daylight that morning. We passed them out there in Randers Bay. We got here and we had to wait till dark that night before he ever showed up. And had old John Allister.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember.
Or he run a dray service then. A pair of mules and an old wagon.
Yeah, right.
Well, he began picking up our stuff, but we got our bedding so we could have something to sleep in. See, the home I had then was moved from right over there where the Spanish villages is. My daddy bought that big old 9-room, 2-story house and moved it over on his property where I'm at today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this was in 1910?
1910.
Okay.
And it left a big hole there where that old house sat. A lot of sand blowing and everything. Anyway, we moved it over. My daddy bought the property from the Roberts family, the Emma Roberts and Captain and Uncle Willie Roberts. And the other Robert, Emma Roberts and W.M. Roberts the big.
I've heard of all those names. I'm familiar with the names. Of course, I didn't make it here early.
We finally got ourselves established here then, but Papa was here about nearly a year before we moved here.
Yeah.
He got all this stuff straightened out, and I come in to move here. They're building these jetties back in they started in 1907, and they digging, putting the jetties in and getting ready to build what's called a deep port right out here at the Harbor Island.
Yeah. Well, that was the same year that they started digging the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we first took over digging the canal.
And my daddy established his saloon business because those days they don't allow one saloon in a certain amount of population. Well, the only saloon they had here then was in the old Tarpon Inn.
Oh.
And they wouldn't cater to those working people, those that worked on the jetty. Those days, over half of the work was done by hand power.
Yeah.
Old rocks, anywhere from small rocks on up to 50, 100-pound
boulders.
Stored in a bin, and then they railroad flat cars, put them in that bin, and then the old steam thing would carry them out there and dump them. Well, anyway, they wouldn't cater to this. So Papa said, well, he seen a good opportunity to make some money.
Yeah.
So he couldn't get a permit to put a saloon in here because the population wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
So he took one of his old sailing boats that he had when he was commercial fishing back in those days. He built a little house on it, built him inside bar and thing, and he bought it down here and anchored it up in Turtle Cove, right straight off east of where the Coast Guard station is now.
East of there?
Yeah, east. I mean not east, but north there.
North of there. Okay.
North there. Yeah. And he started his business that way. In other words, as long as he was laying on the water, they couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
See? And so that's where he got his start right there. And then the town, on paydays, these guys, all these working guys, there was nearly 2/3 of them was foreigners, from all nationalities.
A lot of Jamaicans.
Yeah, there was a lot of them Russians, and some of them Russian Finns, and some of them were Poles, and some of them were Germans, some of them were
immigrants.
Norway Swedes, and some of them were Italians.
Yeah.
Just mixed up.
About how many were on the island when you came?
The island was, I'd say, around pretty close to around 800 people.
Were that many?
Yeah.
That was more than it was when I came there. We had about 500 population.
Yeah, we didn't have no people after that 1919 storm where everybody left.
Yeah.
And it's been years and years trying to build up.
Yeah.
We're one of the slowest communities that were around here to ever build up the size it is now.
Yeah.
And we probably got established like that. And where I'm living right now, there was only 2 more houses south of me. The one right there where Bill Moore's, about where Bill Moore's tackle store is, little bitty old 1-room shack belonged to a fellow named Schultz.
Yeah.
And then right there about where the water tower is now, there was another little 2-room house there. And nothing from there on, there was nothing. Outside of, I'll take it back, there was down here on this road going to the beach down there by right across from the Island Moore and people, that road going down.
Oh, yeah.
Where the little house up on the hill. Right out there you'll see an old chimney still sitting out there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, out there where they, from a fireplace. Well, that was a ranch house.
Well, I was wondering if that wasn't about the same location the old ranch house was back
That's
in
the ranch house.
34, 35, and 36.
Yeah, well that.
When we built our house next to you, the old Mexican that lived in that ranch house
Yeah.
used to ride his horse down past our house on his way downtown. He'd always stop out in front and wait for me to wave at him. Couldn't understand the word.
Yeah,
That was old
I'm trying to
Jesus.
think of his name. What is it?
Jesus, wasn't it?
Treevy or something like that. I forget his
Oh, I don't know
name.
his last name.
Pete something or other.
Hmm.
Yeah. You ride that old horse all day, back and forth, yeah.
Yeah.
And that house burnt down, I don't remember what year, but it burnt down, just left that old chimney sitting there. When I was a kid, old Grant, there's 2 Grant brothers, there was twins.
John Grant and...
One John Grant and Ed Grant.
Okay.
Well, Ed Grant done the running back in those days early till he passed away, and then old John Grant took it over.
Uh-huh.
And he'd hire those boys 50 cents a day at our meal to help herd these cattle up around the island.
Yeah.
And we go down there and I rode most of the time horseback. No saddle or nothing, see. And we'd herd them up and down around Corpus Christi Pass. He had another ranch house with a pen there, and he'd sort the animals out where he was going to take them. And then we'd take them across the Laguna Madre, across Corpus Christi Pass, Laguna Madre, wade them over to the mainland.
Well, it wasn't any intercoastal canal there then.
No, there wasn't no intercoastal
Didn't
canal.
even have to swim
The
them.
deepest water was right on the shore of where
Padre Island?
not up Padre Island, but the mainland side.
On the mainland side?
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
That used to be a small water where all these old sailboats used to sail through there and going up in the lagoon
Oh, yeah.
fishing.
Hmm.
And I never forget, I made that one trip across there, and we had some of the places where we hit, we had cattle would have to swim maybe for a little way to get back footing.
Yeah, that much
But we
water.
herd them up, and we waded water where we was just about that much of the horse sticking out of water.
Is that right?
I never get that.
Yeah.
And
Well, when you came, Ragtown wasn't here, was it?
Huh?
Ragtown wasn't here when you came.
no,
When did it start? And what year did they start living there at Ragtown?
what year they started building?
Started putting up tents and people living down there in the old Ragtown sector.
They was there when we come there in Valley Island.
Oh, it was there?
They was there when we come there. People lived out in those white sand hills right
Yeah.
down back close to where there were people there when we come there.
Well, I wondered when that thing got started.
That's in
Well, the Ragtown that we know started after the 1919 storm. Didn't that storm wipe it away pretty much?
Oh, the 19 storm washed it completely away, it cleaned out, and then the people come back and get established again, and they call it Ragtown in those days.
That's when we
Yeah,
came in
that's where they got the name
1920.
right. But
Well, that's where my first home was.
yeah, all your
And everything, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That was
And-
1929 that we came.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 3 years before we
And,
first showed up.
That house that that the Sims family had, where that house was back over there, way back over there in that area, and they moved it up there on that lot where,
Oh, old Pop Sims?
yeah, old Pop Sims' old house.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Across the street from where Billy Sims' house
Paul
is
Street
now.
and Billy Sims, that's right.
Yeah.
They moved that there.
Mhm.
And there was some of the Mathewsons, and I don't know how many different families lived down in that area. And on top of that, there was a McDonald company built a big machine shop down there, right down in
Yeah,
there.
in Ragtown?
Yeah,
Is that a fact?
had a big machine shop. They built it because that was when they digging out the port, digging the jetties and all that, and dredging up on Harbor Island, dredging Harbor
Yeah,
Island
mhm.
to make a island out of it. And McDonald, well, I don't know where he come from, but anyway, they were figuring there's going to be a lot of machine work done for
yeah.
ships and things like that, so he built that thing.
Mhm.
Meantime, old man N.B. Hamilton, he had a machine shop here too.
That's the one that used to have the boathouse down
Yeah,
far
old
end
man
of the
had a
road?
boat. But he had a
Okay.
machine shop right there where that Mustang cottage is, that old wooden two little storehouse,
Yeah.
all that. Well, he had a machine shop right there,
Mm.
and back there. And then he turned around and built that concrete building, two-story concrete building.
Mhm.
And across the street, he built another building there, with one-story concrete, out of concrete blocks. And
Well, that was down in Ragtown itself, or down toward where the flat was in those days?
that's where Station Street and Cotter Street
Okay.
joined together, right
Yeah.
on that corner there.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Mhm.
And the old Coast Guard station was right there on that same corner,
That's
just across
right.
the street.
That's right, I remember
And
that.
it was washed away in
No,
1990.
I don't remember it either.
But in 1925, they built that other building right there in that corner. Built it up high all over.
Old man Teller's old house?
Yeah,
old
back
man
by
Teller's?
Teller's house, yeah. That's
Okay.
where, yeah, Old Teller. And then in
That's
recent
where the
years,
old Coast Guard station was.
that's where the Coast Guard station was until they rebuilt this new one they got now and tore the old one down.
Yeah, you remember that about that time they built that HECP building down there. It's about 39 or 40, maybe 41.
Yeah.
Remember the big the harbor entrance control post? Before they built this Coast Guard station, in 1940, I guess it was, they built this great big harbor entrance control post, just beginning of the war. And the hardest labor I have ever done, I did on that thing. But it was a big, long building. You remember that, Johnny?
Oh, you mean during the war, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they built a barracks inside of the Coast Guard property.
That's it, yeah, great
Yeah.
big, long,
Big
brown
Yeah,
building.
a couple of those houses that my sister Mary got come from there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Mac McCauley bought one of those sections.
Yeah.
And turned around and used the lumber and built those little cottages out there.
Yeah. I remember, well, you know, when they was building that thing, they threw a massive amount of scrap lumber across the street from, you know, the scrap lumber. And all these island boys run out there and pick up a carload of scrap lumber. And I can remember about 3 good fights that took place over grabbing that scrap lumber.
Yeah, where Melvin Littleton's home is right now, where he lives,
Yeah, right.
he's sitting right on top of a slab, concrete slab, of a big home that belonged to old man Joe Curry. He built there out of this concrete blocks.
Blocked, yeah.
Well, the 1919 storm washed it away. It just left that, and the sand blew over it. When Melvin went to put his foundation there, he hit that concrete. He didn't know what he was hitting. But he was hitting the foundation of that old home.
You already had a good solid base.
See, that whole street one time was on both sides, was loaded down with homes. And then joined that street, the Mercer Street, and the next street over, there was, well, where
Henry stood.
Revell Nelson, but Marvin and Norby's daddy.
Yeah, A.D.
A.D.
Yeah.
That on that street right there, going up and down there was a whole row of houses all the way down through that area.
Well, when did they get wiped out?
They got worked out in 1990 and washed everything away.
Yeah.
The town was built up over in that area most.
I see.
Yeah. And
But then when it got cleaned off during the storm.
when that hurricane come through, it brought so much water with it, it was melting those sand dunes down, and it stayed so long. It began to the water began to coming in on a Saturday evening on us, and it stayed that way until a Monday morning.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a long one.
Yeah, and it never did, the center never did come through. The center, they claim, went about 20 miles south of us.
Yeah, you was in the bad angle.
We was in the bad part of it.
That's right, yeah.
And up to this day, that hurricane put more water over this island and then Corpus Christi Bay than any other hurricane in the history. There was the water went as high as 18 to 20 feet in Corpus Christi Bay. But us on the Gulf side, the engineers checked it where the surge would go up in through those sand dunes and knock 2 rows of those sand dunes down.
Is that right?
And they claim the engineers marked it 21 feet, surge is 21 feet. But then behind it, there was 14 feet.
Yeah. Well, the sand dunes broke a lot of
Yeah,
it.
oh yeah, sand dune broke a lot of that stuff away from it.
Well, those were long years gone past.
Yeah. I say, in my days, I went through many hurricanes here on this island.
Yeah.
And we survived as good or better than a lot of people did over on the mainland. The only thing about 19, the hurricane, we was isolated. The only way we get to and from the island was by boats those days. Well, there wasn't only one boat left. And with a little old 20-foot narrow boat that belonged to old Chet Roberts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Chet, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had it. And he had it tied up in behind the sand hills. And we used that to carry, we had some skills that was left over. In the meantime, there was a boat up in Galveston, a freight boat that used to run between Houston and Galveston and Corpus Christi, a shallow draft freight boat. Well, she was loaded down with freight and dry goods and stuff like that, headed for Corpus Christi. When they got word of that hurricane coming, they stayed in Galveston. When the hurricane's over with, about, I guess 6 or 7 days after the hurricane's over with, they let her come on down here, and she anchored up on the south side of Harbor Island there. All that stuff was cleaned out. She anchored up there, and we'd take that little one, this lung motorboat, one of the silver motorboat,
go out there too.
tie those skills onto it, and then we'd go there and go up alongside of her, and we'd pile those canned goods, all kinds of canned goods, and in cases, and dry goods, shoes, and clothes, and things like that, and distribute around to the people that needed it on the island, washed away.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the Coast Guard had one lifeboat left, and it was in behind this over here where the school got that all that baseball, football field around that corner. Well, that boat drifted down there, but there wasn't no motor in it. It was
the oar.
rowboat, double-end rowboat.
Yeah.
Well, they used that, the men did, and load these people in that and roll that thing all the way to Aransas Pass and back, trying to unload people off of the mainland. That went on for about a week after the storm, trying to get all the people off. Meantime, the the custom boat out of Galveston. Used to call them revenue cutters. Those cutters.
Yeah, revenue cutters.
Revenue cutters.
Yeah.
They sent her down here to pick up people. I'll never forget old Speck Brown and his whole family was on that thing, and some of the other people around it. And I don't know, they must have picked up about 75 or 80 people put on that thing. And they headed out over the bar, and there was still so much current going out there, and southeast wind and blowing. The seas were so high, and that old boat would go up like that and come down and just bury itself.
Go right through the next
Yeah,
one.
and they tell me the time that boat got to Galveston with all these people on it, nearly everyone of them was seasick on there.
Imagine,
Everybody
yeah.
was seasick. Yeah, they moved them off down.
Well, was it it was an old steam vessel in those days?
Yeah, an old steamboat.
Yeah.
Fantail steamboat. Straight up and down bow, two masts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a house all
Yeah.
the way fore and
The
aft.
whole name of it Comanche.
The Comanche.
Comanche.
Who was counting on her?
I don't know, because she was stationed in Galveston.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah. She was stationed in Galveston.
Well, there was no inside run between there and here. It had to be
Yeah.
outside, didn't it?
And so many of those things that happened back in those days, like also after the 1916 hurricane, that was the first one I witnessed. I was a little kid then, 11 years old. And it didn't do too much damage, just right around the waterfront.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it come in through the Yucatan and come on up. Well, we didn't know anything about it till it already hit us. And it
Back in
hit us
those
late.
days, you didn't know those things in
And
advance.
it hit us late in the evening, and then by morning it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they left one old sailboat right in the big middle of that old dock where the Mathews old dock used to be down there. Well,
Well, the old Silver King?
yeah, where the old Silver King was at.
Okay, all right.
Well, that one time was those days was what they call a municipal pier.
Uh-huh.
And right in the big middle of that pier there, that's that big old sailboat laying there.
Is that right?
Yeah, sitting there.
Oh, good night.
And they were still working on the jetties. They had doing some work on the jetties at Clark and Company. And they had a big old steam derrick anchored up there in the Lydia Ann Channel and steam towboat and some barges. Anyway, they bought that big old steam derrick in there. They put slings around that old sailboat and they picked it up, set it back
Left
in the
one,
water.
set her down the water, yeah. Go out there and do those things.
That is like, you remember all these potholes down through the
Oh,
island.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you know, what we call them tanks.
When the first duck
Yeah,
arrived, that's
yeah.
where he landed.
Yeah,
That's where he stayed from
Now
then on.
that wasn't there until 19 hurricane. 19 hurricane would find spots, go over top of those sand dunes and then just kick it out.
Dig 'em out,
Big
yeah.
holes.
Mhm.
And that's what caused them. And on what we used to call the old swimming hole down here at the jetties.
Behind the South Jetty.
Behind the South Jetty.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
enjoyed that.
Before that 19 storm, we could take our old horse and buggy and walk right over top of the jetties and go out there 200 to 300 feet on dry land right in the middle of that ship channel.
Is that right?
Yeah, driving back.
That's where
That's what happened there.
that's where Louise taught
Yeah.
me to swim in that old swimming
But
pool.
after that 19 storm, that was all the way from the university, where the university is now, all the way down to the end of the Gulf. That was wide open.
Mhm.
Oh, I say 100 to 150 feet wide, 15 to 18 feet of water in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of places, when you've been that swimming hole, you could find playing around in there and diving down deep. You could find some of those big boulders where they rolled out in that thing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And on meantime, too, 19. A dike right down the middle of St. Joe Island.
Part of it's
Little-
still there, isn't it?
Little bitty narrow gauge railroad, they use that.
Mm.
And up here by the south end of Lydia Ann Island, there's Sizzler Piling still sitting there. They call it Clark's Tank.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's where they're loading the rock from the mainland, bringing it from the mainland on barges and bringing it over there and putting it on these little narrow gauge railroad and building that
They
dike.
built that North Jetty, huh?
No, they built a dike. The North Jetty is already built there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, where old what's called got his jetty boat dock
Yeah.
right now. Well, just this side of it, just a little bit, this west of it. Like this is the north jetty going out this way, and the other one makes a curve like that and turns. Joins that and goes right straight down the middle of that outlet.
I have seen the remains of that old dike down through there.
Yeah, well, you can still see some remains of it yet.
The remains of that old dike was the roof on our living room and dining room. That's where Florida and I went up. He had found it when he was fishing, and he came home and he said, "Babe, I know where our ceiling is." We went up there, took a skiff, anchored the boat up, went inshore. And that stuff was tongue and groove, about 5 feet high, but about that much was above the land. And the 3 feet down in the sand was like new lumber. So we hauled all that heavy stuff down. He didn't have to use a hammer. It just was fit right in, tongue and groove. That all he did was slide it out, and I carried it. We loaded the skiff, and the tide went out. And we spent the night there.
And all that flotation and couldn't get it out.
Anyway, on the beach there was plenty of driftwood, but up there you couldn't find a stick to build a fire with. And we knew we had to spend the night, but he waited out and got the blanket out of the boat, and we cut salt sea limbs and made a pile about that high, spread the blanket on top of it. And he said, "Babe, let's take a swim and wash this sand off before we go to bed." We jumped into that water, and it was like ice water. We pretty near bounced out of it, got back, and by that time the salt cedar had cried in our blanket. You could wring the water out. And he snitched a few fish, cooked them over a fire. We were going to have a Florida breakfast. Only no pound branches. So he cooked them on bay bushes, and they were so strong and bay we couldn't beat them.
That would flavor them.
And the tide didn't come in till we floated until late that afternoon. But that's where the lumber came from for our driftwood house.
Well, that's like back in the early 20s and the late teens. They was hauling, these boats was hauling lots of lumber out of Honduras. And they was loading it on these barges on deck.
Yeah.
And they used steam towboats tow them back to the States. 90% of that was going to those yards in Beaumont.
Oh yeah,
Lumber back in Beaumont.
Honduran mahogany for
And that stuff would sometimes wash off of those boats come across there, and they'd come down and in other words, you could go down to the beach, like she said at the time, and find all kinds of big planks that wide, rough.
Yeah, rough stuff.
Rough stuff.
Yeah.
And my first experience building a skiff, I built it out of that. White pine. And it was, all the tools you work with, they just eat the tools up. That's sand and grit and mucks and everything else. And I built that thing, and I never painted it or nothing. Just left it like that. And about 30 days or so, you couldn't. That thing got so waterlogged that you couldn't hardly pick it up.
Lift it.
Yeah, just soak up enough water. I'll never forget that. Now my oldest brother, he was captain on one of those sailboats that was carrying that stuff through Honduras, and then Brother Tony, Sonny married his daddy. And the other guys that lived, one time lived in Rockport. They worked on a towboat together. And they'd bring that lumber through, taking it into Beaumont.
Yeah.
And the boat he was on was a gold converted steam yacht. Made a towboat out of it.
Goody sakes.
Yeah. And named Keachai.
Keachai.
Keachai. And
Wonder where that name come from.
I don't know.
Indian.
Yeah, just like.
Probably out of Honduras.
And I say that, and they called, the other words like to say that this part of the coastline, they all call it the Bight those days.
Yeah. Devil's
They call it
Elbow
Coastal
now.
Bend now, you see. Got a
Yeah.
curve in there, and that's where they've always said that all that debris and lumber and stuff would always come down
Yeah.
and through that
Down
stuff.
around the shells.
Yeah.
Little
Down-
big shells.
The big shell all the way to this, down
Right.
this way. And another thing that I remember quite well, I was young with that then. There was two ships right off of Galveston. They collided out there in foggy weather. And both of them were cargo carrying ships. They were running between Galveston and New York.
Yeah.
Mallory Line and Margate Line.
Yeah.
Oh, one of these ships was loaded down with barrels of wine and brandy and whiskey and cotton and stuff like that. Well, the ship that ran that one knocked a big hole in one of those big hatches, and that stuff floated, come all the way down from just this end of San Joe Island on down the island.
Yeah.
And you never seen the like of guys scrambling.
Can well
Well,
imagine.
all these, some of those barrels of that brandy would come in 50-gallon wooden barrels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your wines, to say, most of them come in 20-gallon kegs.
Mm-hmm. All had bones
Yeah.
in them.
Everybody would rolling those things up in the sand hills, hiding it, waiting until they get a chance to haul it in. And some of the other guys would be sitting there watching them where they hide it.
Yeah.
During the night, they'd go by and roll that stuff somewhere other place and take it.
And hide it again. Yeah.
My uncle, Uncle Dan Brumley, owned a lot of this stuff over here by where Wilson cottages are, all the way back in that area.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And behind Laura Farrow's old home, Don's old home.
Yeah.
My uncle had a great big old barn there, and they lived there in it. And us kids, we'd go in to sneak in that barn. And some of the boys bigger than I was had knocked those plugs out.
Yeah, the bones.
And then take a rag, stick down there, dig it up, an old tin can, and squeeze it like that. And some of those boys get real drunk. And I took a little bit at one time, and I got drunk from it too. And I was a little old kid. And boy, my mother heard out about that. Boy, I got it.
She taught you not to do it.
Anyway, that's what happened with that. Brother John Molina, he had 6 bales of cotton up at his house that he got off of that thing.
Well, how did John Molina fit into your family?
He married one of my sisters.
Oh, okay.
He married
Yeah.
Bubba Molina's wife, mother.
Her mother. Yeah.
In other words, Festus Clark was married her after John and
Oh, I
sister.
see.
Yeah, after she, and they got a divorce. John and Sister Bessie got a divorce, and then my sister married Festus Clark.
Oh, yeah.
And John Molina married my sister Mary, Bessie, during when building the jetties. That's how I come him to come down here. He followed those guys.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and he come from the same country my daddy did, but he migrated over to New Zealand, and he worked in the mines over there in New Zealand, and then he migrated to the States. When he got to the States, he kept moving over down the line till he found out, and he come here. And
So what else came out of those barrels, was there? You had pretty good pickings on lumber.
oh yeah,
What else came up on
well, after 19 hurricane, the jetties were built, but they had cross ties across where the well piled, and then they laid on top of the cross beam.
Yeah.
They laid 12 or 12 stringers, anywhere from 25 to 30 feet long, and then they laid the cross tires on top of that
Yeah.
on the track. That stuff was piled up all through these sand dunes. Those 12 or 12 big stringers, some of them 25, 30 feet long. My daddy had a pair of mules and old wagon. We'd go down there and we'd take those wheels and paddle those things up and then raise that up tight, tie those timbers up there, we'd bring them back. Bring them up in the yard, and he'd hire a man to cut those things up with a two-man saw. And that was my job. He put me on the job
On the
with
other
that,
end of the saw.
on the other with that old man. That old man, the only time he ever stopped to put saws when he rolled him up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Cut them up in chunks where it'd go in our wood cook stoves, things like that, and then sit down and split them up in blocks. And we would have wood stacked up 8 to 9 feet high, and sometimes pretty as long as this room.
What kind of lumber was it? What kind of wood?
Most pine.
Pine.
Pine, yeah.
Oh, longleaf yellow pine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Old heavy pine. And then on top of that, my daddy would go over here to Aransas and order 2 or 3 cords, they call it, of oak, and bring it there. And use that oak for where you act like at nighttime you want to keep your
Fire going all night.
All night long and put that oak in there.
That oak would burn, yeah.
It would hold up.
That
But
pine go up in
pine
smoke.
would smoke and go
Yeah.
up. And we always kept a large supply of already cut up wood. Very soul, and that's all they had to do, go out there and pick an armful of it up, we bring it in, put it in the bin there.
An unending supply.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Elder talking about her getting her ceiling from over there at the old dike. You probably remember when Dad, my brother, and myself rode across to where the old cotton dock was, about a mile up the channel. A storm had knocked her down. Well, my brother Russ and Dad and myself rode across there, and we get those 2x12 planks. And most of them, you know, 10, 12 foot, 14 foot planks that had been knocked down. We would clear them over there and get them separated and make a raft out of them and tow them back across with a skiff. And then we would have them, we had some kind of an old car or something, I believe. Bring them from where we landed on the channel up to, remember where, I don't guess you remember where we used to live, where Edna's shell shop was?
Yeah.
The original house on that lot. We bought it from Henry Olson for $50. And we used those 2x12s and built a 24 by 24 foot house there. 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen. And the whole thing, the foundation and all the outside walls, all the stringers and everything was 2x12. Because that's all it was 2x12. And that's what was our first house here on the island that we built.
Yeah, I remember.
And I can remember seeing our dad come up. That's, of course, the storm. We were up by your house by then. But Dad would come up, and we had salvaged a lot of windows from the shack on the point. And we had windows to spare. Dad would come up and take a sash on his shoulders and carry it down the bill. I think Edgar was mixed up in that somewhere too.
I think he probably was, and I was still a kid, so I was the nail man.
Well, Edgar has told me that he helped get the planks across.
Well, he probably did.
But you see, he was enough older by that time
That
that
old
he
building
was real
still-
strong.
Yeah.
That old building's still sitting there too. Joe built it.
That's right, it's still there.
Yeah, still there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Built
that's
all
what,
out of salvaged beach lumber and
2x12s from the old cotton dock.
yeah.
Well, you know, during the storm, I forget which storm it was, but it sustained tremendous damage. It was knocked off of the foundation, and one side of the roof had been hit by something, caved in. And Edna was going to, because at that time that was her home, she was going to demolish the thing in order to give it up. And I went in there and looked at that and said, you know, That's not a big job to salvage that place. So I went and talked to Marbury. Well, Marbury's an entrepreneur anyway. I said, Marbury, we can jack that thing up and set it back on its foundation. We can repair that roof, and Edna will still have her home. Because, you know, she was shaking sheets in those days to make a living. Well, Marbury thought we could do it too, so actually we got busy. Got old car jacks and blocks and things got under there, and we jacked that thing back up level. And I don't know where the roof material came from. Maybe they had some money or something. Anyway, we repaired the roof. And during that procedure, the thought came to me that this is right on the highway, on the road from the ferry. And there's a lot of traffic passing here. White old Edna, because she was making some shells, I think, for Elda at that time.
That what?
She was building some shell, putting shell craft together. I think he was taking some of it from her.
Well, I started my shell craft in '33, but after Edna came, why, I paid her to help me.
Yeah.
And then I think the first thing that she sold, though, afterward, she had baby Panamas. She was sick a lot back then.
Yeah.
And every morning when I'd go to the post office, I'd run over. And we strung up a lot of those baby Panamas like beads. And I think Marbury had a place down on the causeway. He'd take them down there and sell them.
Yeah.
That's how Edna got started in her shell work.
Yeah, that was in our shell work. But while I was rebuilding that house, the thought struck me, why not just put a shell shop right there in the house, in the living room? So she thought that was a good idea, and that's exactly what we did. We took her living room, and we put shells around there. She started out of that. That thing eventually turned into, you know, a big shop.
You remember, I'm pretty sure that the old Dryer's home used to be back behind the sand dunes back here.
Yeah, way back in there. Yeah.
Boy, that house was built out of the lumber that come out of this old Mary Rick used to be out there in a channel that
Is
stick
that
up
right?
there. Yeah. That house built out of that.
Well, how much of that wreck stayed above, or did any of it stay above
Well,
the
they
surface?
stayed there until they when they come back to deepen that water out here about, I forget how many years back it was. Well, that thing finally submerged down and broke, I think
the house stayed above surface.
Yeah, that
for
was
a while.
that was a steam engine that
Yeah.
stuck out of water.
Yeah.
That's what they call old steeple compound.
Yeah.
Big old single cylinder that turned the side wheelers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm. She was a side
She
wheeler.
was a side wheeler.
Yeah.
My daddy come in to offer a ship out of New York. One of the first propeller-driven ships. And he come down to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got off of New Orleans, they hit a hurricane, and they couldn't control the ship, and it sunk off the mouth of it, off of New Orleans. Anyway, they come all ashore in New Orleans. Then my daddy caught this old Mary coming to Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
He caught it, and he took a ride on it, in other words. And when he got to Galveston, he found so many of his old countrymen there, he just got off and left it.
Yeah, that's where
And
he stayed.
that's where he migrated down the line, down here.
Well, darn. Have you ever thought about what it must have been like to be in a side wheeler in a hurricane? Consider the construction of those vessels in those days.
Well, as far as I can remember, the story was told about that old thing. There were no jetties worked in those days.
Not at all.
And she was trying to come in the pass. She missed the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And she come on the south side of the pass. In other words, the pass was further up the line from where she was at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she laid there, and they finally got the people, passengers. They finally got the passengers off of there by the Coast Guard. They called them life-saving station those days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lifeboatman was
Yeah.
the term for the people.
And they got them off of there. And the captain them trying to salvage the boat, but they never could. She finally went down
Down in the sand, yeah.
and sunk down the sand. So any of these wrecks you find on the beaches today, in a little while they'll disappear in that sand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll just submerge in that, that sand.
I wonder how deep they actually go before they stop
They
submerging.
go down at least decks too.
Is that right?
Yep.
That deep?
That deep.
Hmm.
Well, right behind us, South Jetty, there's a steam tug that went down there.
Yeah.
And after many years, you go there, you see the whole outline of that steam tug.
Uh-huh.
And she was taking one of these First World War ships that they picked up out there in the Gulf. That was listed at about a 30-degree angle. And right here, yeah.
Yeah.
And pumped her out. And this towboat was going to take her out that night, take her to Orange.
Mm-hmm.
One of these shipboard tugs built during the Second World War.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Pretty good sized towboat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big northeaster blowing that night. And Captain George Roberts was on one, and Cooper Walker was on the towboat, and Captain George Roberts was on the barge.
Uh-huh.
And just as they going out the channel, that northeast wind, and this old barge took a sheer and went right up on the end of the South Jetty.
I know exactly what could happen, yeah.
And that towboat, there were two pilots that got off that night, got off and left that captain on it. That captain said he had to try to pull that thing off, so he left it alone. During the night, the towboat broke her hawser. She's backing down trying to get another hawser on. She backed right over the South Jetty, knocked her rudder and wheel off. She drifted in behind the South Jetty and sunk.
Pretty safe.
And the next morning, we all go down there, and there was a two masts and smokestack sitting up out of water. Part of the lower house sitting out of water. And the wheelhouse and all was already broken down and laying up on the beach right behind the South Jetty.
The seas had
Yeah.
broken that off, yeah.
And meantime, she had one of those big searchlights sitting on top of that house, wheelhouse, and that floated in there. I don't know whoever got a hold of that stuff, but the steering wheel was on there.
Probably about an 8-foot steering wheel.
Big tall steering wheel, yeah, big wood spoke steering wheel.
Spokes sticking out on it all the way around, and if you tried to hold it there, it would throw you over against the pilot house wall.
And then in 1921, when we had that June blow in 1921, it took that old barge off the end of the jetty. She broke up, come ashore.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of it, boiler and all that stuff was still on it. They were laying out there somewhere in the Gulf. Never ever found that. But anyway, a lot of that old wreckage where those old spikes you set up along the beach, those old.
Yeah, I remember those
down
spikes.
there. You see those? Well, a lot of that was her. The bottom part of those things.
Yeah.
And then there was another wreck just south of there. Off a big hill and about 35 feet of water. It was one of those wooden ships built during the war.
Those spikes used to stick up there, and eventually they'd get covered with sand.
Get covered up
and
sand.
here come a hurricane and uncover them again,
And,
and then you'd have part of the wood and all the old spikes.
I was working for the government engineers then, 1920, 25, late 25, early 26, remember. Anyway, they claimed that thing was a menace to navigation down there. But it was about 8 feet of water over the top. Went down there and took Don Farley's daddy, went to the diver. And I was running one of the boats for the government. We took this dynamite down there and placed it in sacks. And he was diving, he put it all around that thing. We blew it up. Well, when it blew it up, it just some splinters thing come up, but wasn't a whole lot of it. But my God, you ought to see the spadefish and
Fish came up.
Yep. But we caught plenty of Spanish mackerel and kingfish off that thing. You could see the whole outline of the hull of the boat at times when the water was clear. You see our hatches and everything now.
Was that the old boiler that used to set up above the
No, the old
surface?
boiler, that's the Argo. That come out.
Argo.
Yeah, that come out out of Honduras down
Oh,
there.
that's one of those.
That's where she come from, and she missed something else. Anyway, they beached her down there. There
Yeah.
bunch of those Honduras guys on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember that old
Yeah.
boiler set.
Yeah,
up
the old
there
boiler
for
set up.
years and years.
And later on, we got some bad weather, different kinds of some hurricanes in the Gulf and the other, and that stuff what blew up, began to breaking up and coming ashore.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, I remember oldest son there, Hop, and the other guy was fishing on the beach. And I forget the name of this old boy that Hop was fishing with. Anyway, they went on Model T Fords, the little Fords,
Yeah.
and run right square at the top of that bunch of spikes, hung up in one of them. But there was 4, 5, or 6 of those things left.
Yeah.
Here, recent years, I would go down there and I seen a bunch of young people around there digging and everything around one of those things, and they come up and said there was,
Treasure ship, huh?
he said it was a torpedo boats during the old Civil War. That's what they claimed that they put this thing on the front because they had these spikes and ran the other boats with. And I stopped and asked the people, I said, what are you all doing? They were digging up this old ancient wrecks here. I said, well, what are you going to do with it? He said, we don't know yet. We're going to find out what it's all about. Anyway, coming to the papers, this guy, one of these biologists, he's telling about what it was and everything. And old Melvin, he got mad. He come up to me and says, you know about that, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, let's go down there and stop that right now, because they were going to put a fence around it.
Oh.
Yeah. Then we went down there and put it in the South Jetty. And Billy Sims, me, and Thomas Teller, and Elvin. Well, Billy wasn't here when all that took place, that wreckage all took place off the shore. He was off shipping out.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I was still working for government engineers when we tore that thing, blew it up. And Thomas, he don't remember nothing about it, see. But Melvin knew something wrong there. Went down there and I sent a piece of paper, and I read it home, a piece of them out of the South Jetty.
Yeah.
And this guy says, they come back and answered that I said, it's an old war relic, all right. I said, it was built during the First World War. When they built it, built these small wooden ships to supply the army and things across the little small wooden ship, little about 300 feet long. It wasn't less than 300 feet long. Those steam ships, and they built them in Orange. They built them two of them. Well, it started 4 in Rockport.
Yeah.
And 2 of them they built, carried on up the Orange. They have them rebuilt to finish them up, and all up and down the East Coast and along the Florida, Pensacola, and
Anywhere there was a shipyard.
anywhere a shipyard is building them.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's an old war relic, all right. I said, that's the Second World War, First World War ships was built. But this guy couldn't figure out all these spikes. He said, I never heard of a ship being built like that. I said, because you wasn't born when those. And he put it in the letter. Put it back in the corporate paper. He said, I'm not going to argue with that guy. I said, he was here before we were, and he says he was here when this thing happened. He said, I'm not going to argue about it, but I never seen a ship built out of spikes and things like that.
Well, all they got to do is look at the old construction of the homes back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
They
So
were
we
built
put a
with
squash
spikes.
to that right quick, and that was all gone after that.
So their treasure turned out to be non-treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this stuff today the same way. If you hear about these treasure things and all that, a lot of it is not true. Some of it's true, some are not.
Yeah. Well, that's all interesting stuff from way back. You know, most people don't even know anything about
Yeah,
that because
Yeah. Like another thing too, when they built that Harbor Island over there. The private company built that whole
what
work.
was the first purpose on
It
it?
was gonna make a deep port out of it.
Oh,
And
the old cotton docks there where the tugboats.
Randis Channel and Dock Company that built it.
Yeah.
They was a subsidiary out of some outfit in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
They come down here. Well, they built that 1,000-foot dock and that shed to start
The
out
old
with.
cotton shed. Yeah.
They put a compress over there, cotton compress. They put a water
That's
tower
why
over
that
there.
water tower was there for the compress.
And meantime, they were dredging the Randis Pass channels to use to build to fill up to make a railroad track all the way from Randis Pass out there.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 7 bridges in between there. And
Yeah. And,
they got the railroad out there. And then in 1914, the first ship come in here in 1914.
oh.
First cotton ship. And it's only 18 foot of water over the bar there. 18 to 20 feet of water. And she loaded up, I don't know how many bales of cotton here. And my brother-in-law, John Molina, he was a stevedore
Uh-huh.
for loading. And the ship was named Brinkburn. She was an English ship, a Leland line ship out of England.
Yeah.
And then while she was there, about a week, 10 days later, another one come in, the other English ship, the Wansley. And that was the first 2 ships that ever come into that harbor. Well, they began to unload, up that time, they began loading cotton. It was strictly cotton. And meantime, they began to add on a little bit. They began putting some oil tanks over there and bringing that Mexican crude out of Mexico.
Did Esso put those in first?
First one put in there
Standard Oil
was
Company?
the Magnolia Petroleum Company.
Oh, Magnolia.
Magnolia, and then the Sunset Oil Company.
Oh.
And then later on, the France and Canada built those old concrete.
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, all those things were pretty well damaged up during the 19 hurricane.
Mm.
But after the 19 hurricane, all that old dock was washed away and all that stuff. And all the railroad track was washed away from all the way into Randis Pass. And we had my brother, his boat he owned, and we started running passengers service for the channel for the Canadian, Trans-Canadian, building those old concrete ships.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
The only way you could get by boat, all that stuff washed away. And then when they began pushing that oil back in here again, why we go, that Channel Dock Company renting these old wooden barges. They call them cotton ferry barges out of Galveston. They've used those things to transfer the cotton from across over to Bolivar, from Bolivar to
Oh.
bring cotton, those little cotton barges.
Wonder why didn't they take them into the Galveston cotton docks?
All that Bolivar Peninsula, there was no way to get people who were growing cotton through there back in those days, and all that country was all nothing but just farmland.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they used those things to haul it, and also was using that thing because they didn't have enough room for ships to dock in Galveston. They were laying out there in the roads,
Yeah.
Bolivar roads, and they
Yeah.
bring those barges with their,
Big anchorage out there.
and loading it into those ships.
Mm-hmm. Those old concrete ships, they didn't do too well.
No, they didn't. Only one of them made one trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
And meantime, they had her out here giving her test. Out here when they brought her in, back in after giving her a test, she sideswiped the other one, was laying in front of her, put a big crack in her bow. Well, they never knew anything about it, so they went down there and loaded up that Mexican crude, let her down, and then that whole forward section filled up with water.
Yeah.
And I made that one trip, and that was the end of it.
Well, there's one still laying up there in Galveston, there, just outside
Yeah.
Bolivar Road.
Oh, yeah. Now
in there in
that's the
Texas
other.
City.
Yeah, the concrete ships they built here was round. What they call them wheelbackers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, wheelbacker with a sharp point on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that old one up there in Galveston, she was regular built
She was
like
more or less standard
built more like a
ship.
ship, yeah, a
Yeah.
regular ship, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a folks on her forepeak, the whole works.
Yeah. I remember when they pushed that thing up in Galveston, I was working on towboats up there.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Over there.
And they cooked her up there. I don't know where they were going to take anyway. They took her around there and shoved her up in that mud and stuff there. Let her sit.
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, she's still sitting there.
Anytime we used to go up there and tie up that thing and wait for catching a ship going through the roads, taking them up to
Texas City.
Texas City or Houston.
Yeah, well, I've done the same thing, tied up alongside of her and waiting for ships to come in, going to Texas City. And I spent about 3 years
I've done the same
up
thing.
there. Yeah, exactly. Well, we about to run out of lies. Do you know some lies?
No.
Do you know any lies that need to be told? Because we might run out of them if we tried hard. You're not a good liar, are you?
Well, you know, when the stubborn fisherman, I said we didn't have to lie about it. Our fish were always big enough.
Yeah, well, that's a good
We
idea.
never had to tell a lie about our fishing.
Well, you see, that's something I've always claimed because all the stories that I repeat to the kids and things, they say they're fantastic, it's unbelievable, I don't believe it. But everything I've ever been involved in was so fantastic that there's no way to explain it to them. You can't prove it to them.
No.
So I quit trying. You're not going to quit trying, I don't think, are you?
You what?
You're not going to quit trying, are you?
Quit trying to do what?
To tell bigger lies than somebody else.
No, I don't have to.
It's already bigger. There you go. Oh.
No.
Where was you all living when the 1933 hurricane come through?
Where was I?
Yeah, where was you all living at?
Over on Roberts Point.
Over at Robert Point.
And we loaded up and moved over, and we came we were blown across the cove and landed over there by the Hamiltons' place. And Hop went up, we brought everything we could with us. Hop went up and bought and rented on time. We didn't have cash, but Pop Sims let us have that corner cottage. And we got there and the storm was raging. We saw a good part of Port Aransas on the waterfront blow up. And there would be great big sections of a building come floating by. And at that time there was a waterway, it was like a raging river. Now you remember that, where it went across where they built the store later on. And all the debris floated down past that corner and cut across, well, Charlie's pasture, I guess now. But anyway, it went across to the bay on that side. But that's where we rode out the storm.
Billy Sims, Alan Sims, Pat McBride and myself, we got in a little boat belonged to Billy and Alan Sims. They had a little I think 18 or 20 foot boat, single cylinder big engine in it. We went around in front of Barney's place and all that where Fisherman Wharf at.
Yeah.
And W. Lawrence had a place across there, and watched those things. We went down to that boat, and the sea was 4 or 5 foot higher then, and that little boat falling over the one way and the other. We rode it out. We come on down the line and come through that big slough over there where where that Teal Harbor building is now, that old big slough just goes through there. We come on up that slough. We stopped at my brother's house. Teddy had a house there then. And we stopped there and went in. Teddy and them were all gone. Went in there and went inside of his house there and opened up his refrigerator. Teddy had some home brew in there. So we went and got a hold of that old road. And then we took it and followed that slough right on up to the old Woodman Hall, where the old Woodman Hall used to be.
Good night.
And we tied that boat up right there.
Well, there used to be a slough just on this side of the old Woodman Hall. It wasn't a slough, it had been a slough at one time. You remember that big dipped out place there on the east side of Woodman Hall?
Well,
It was,
Mr. A.D. Nelson, Marbury,
yeah.
that same slough, you know, he put a big wire fence around in there, out of small wire, and he began catching shrimp, put in there.
Oh, is that
Made
right?
a big shrimp, yeah, maybe, so he'd have shrimp.
So we'd have a lot of shrimp, yeah.
Well, it began to undermine and under the bottom of that, where he put that wire down, and all those things were going out pretty as fast as he's putting them in there.
Well, I'll tell you, though, they did some funny things back in those particular days. Because Edna and June and myself, and I forget who was in the crowd, but anyway, you remember the old slough that used to come up there past where Mom's house was? Edna lived there for a long time. And that slough was, you know, fairly deep. We used to go swimming in the thing.
Yeah.
And we'd having a party or something around home, and all of a sudden somebody said, let's go swimming. Well, Edna weighed about 180 pounds, about 5 foot 4 inches tall, and she wouldn't go swimming. So, anyway, whatever we was drinking, I guess Coke or coffee, so we went down there, and kids all went in swimming, and hooping it up. Pretty soon, Edna, of course, she was fully dressed, pretty soon she couldn't stand it. The heck with this, and she just jumped in there with the rest of them. Looked like a big old walrus out there among a bunch of pygmies.
That was
She
it.
couldn't stay out of it, she had to get in there.
Yeah.
And that thing got so deep quite a number of times that you couldn't get across
Well, it used to be, years ago, when we first come here on the island, it'd be 2 sloughs, just west of where the ferry landing is now.
Mhm.
One of them were called Sunflower Slough, and then Moore's Island Slough. Sunflower Island was the first one, right there as you go. And we had a slough there, I guess about 3.5 feet of water in it. Then Moore's Island Slough was the bigger slough. They come on through all those salt flats down through the
further down the channel?
Down
Far
Far Channel.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't know where Moore's Island is, because they've been having a lot of trouble years trying to find out where Moore's Island was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but Moore's Island was covered up when they dredged that ship channel.
Yeah, oil bank ate it
Oil
up.
bank, they filled it all up.
Yeah.
But there was 2 homes on that island back in those
Alright.
days, yeah. And we used to go down there and visit one family down there, the Browns, Speck Browns.
Speck Brown's folks?
Folks, they lived down there one time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Before they moved up this
Yeah.
way. And then there was Chain Islands, going all the way down there, Moore's Island, and Cologne Island. They called it Cologne Island. And then the next island was Coyote Island, and then a little another island on the other side of that was called it Dagger Island,
Well,
and then Shamrock Island.
yeah.
All the strings run down through there.
Well, Dagger Island, I recall it, and Shamrock, of course, is still there. But the rest of these have all been tied together with fill.
There's
hasn't it?
one big hole right there as you come in on that, where that little Dagger Island was,
Yeah.
at Shamrock. They call it Portugal hole. I don't know where they ever got that name of it.
Poachy what?
Portugal home.
Poachy go home.
Some Mexicans, fishermen named it that, but
Yeah.
with the shell reef, and then it dropped off into,
Redfish hole.
redfish hole what it was.
You betcha.
Yeah. And right today, it's that channel that goes into this, not Castle, but Plate Toes property down in here.
All right, yeah.
The channel that dug it,
Yeah.
goes right where over that little chain of reef and into that hole that's straight on up
Oh,
in.
is that right?
Mhm.
Hmm. Well, I guess that hole's probably still there, or some of it.
Well, it's changed a whole lot. When it did change, it
Got a lot
changed
of
after
dredging.
when we had Celia when it come through.
Uh-huh.
Because Celia cut that shamrock all the right square too.
One of the biggest sharks I've ever seen up in the bay was right off the north side of Shamrock Island. I was flying up there one day, and I think he wasn't a hammerhead, but he may have been a shovel nose. But it looked like that rascal must have been at least 10 or 12 foot long, just lollygagging along the north shore of it. And I didn't know that big sharks, would go up in a bay like that. But that's what a big fella.
Well, I've heard stories about big sharks up in the bay, but I never have. Most of those sharks I was in the bay, maybe 4.5,
4 or 5 foot.
4 foot long.
Yeah.
We call them sand sharks. They're shovel nose.
Sand or shovel nose, right?
But you know, the one time that George had Dr. Hancock and others up fishing up the bay, and that's when that great big hammerhead shark came, and it was probably 12 feet long or longer. And all that story is in The Stubborn Fisherman, but that was one more big shark that was up
in the
bay.
bay. Where were they fishing? You remember?
Just off the lighthouse, up that way.
Up the Rockport Channel way.
Well, there was one time too that they got down there in the Civic Center. They got a picture of it.
Yeah.
Of that. We call them blackfish. They call them some kind of worry whale. I don't know what kind of whale. Anyway, sitting on top of a barge, and Billy Sims' daddy towed both the old swallow alongside the barge. Now they picked that thing up inside of the Indiana Channel.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. But in my days, I've seen quite a few. I say half a dozen on San Joe Beach and on this beach both. Up 18 to 20 feet long.
I've seen big ones out there, yeah. Not quite that big. I've seen
every one
14.
would come ashore dead.
Oh, is that right?
All but one. There was one on the end of the South Jetty one time. And Billy and Alan, Sim, myself, went out there and we tried to see if we, and he's still alive.
We're talking about the blackfish, the
blackfish whale. They whale sometimes.
Yeah.
All these newfangled things they give all these fish nowadays,
Yeah, right.
Different. But I always wondered about what Daddy said he called a blackfish, small whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest one I was seeing southeast here one day. I was fishing down in there about, I guess about 12 miles offshore.
Uh-huh.
I seen this thing come up and seen a sail flop like that, and I was pretty good ways off from it. Man, I said, that's sure was a big old porpoise. I couldn't figure it out. Then I found I seen it come back up again, just come up like that and blow it. And I took on over that.
Tail sometimes.
I took on over that. I walked running around. I'd say he was about 30, 35 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't scare him. Not with these little motorboats.
Oh, no.
Now you've got through with your big shark. Mine is very small.
I knew she wouldn't give up. She's going to outlie us.
Florida, we go up to Lydian Island. He'd anchor the boat and he would go this way all the way around. I would fish from the boat up to meet him. There's 2 or 3 stories mixed up there. Don't let me detour. Anyway, I was behind it on the beach back of the island, and I had a fish on a stringer. And pretty soon out there, not far away, I saw the fins of a shark. He was headed right straight for those fish.
For the fish on the stringer.
I began to back up to the shore, but he followed. And I kept bringing the fish up, closer. Well, that brought the shark closer. And I made it to the beach, but the shark got grounded. There wasn't water enough to come the rest of the way. But you know that spoiled my fishing for going wade fishing
That's
up
on the
there.
backside of Lydian Island. And I'll tell you what, I was spoiled from going there floundering one night. Went up there and we got out in the skiff, had an old sailboat, old punt. Sailed up there and anchored it down and had a little 8-foot flounder skiff. And I got out and I rode to shore in a little skiff and was out there on the north end of it, wading along water about this deep. Clear as a crystal, boy, you could see, and just flat calm. And up ahead of me, here's a big old number 3 washtub sized stingray. So I said, well, I'll go around you. I turned off, went around him, and over to the side here lay another one. I said, well, this place must be full of them. So I turned around and started back down on the quartering direction, and here was 2 of them. So I said, well, I'm gonna get out of here. And I started back toward the boat, and I had them between me and the boat, and they was all working their way toward the light. And I very gingerly made my way back to the boat and crawled aboard. But there must have been 15 or 20 of those big old fellas this big around, and all of them converging on that light.
Yeah, one night I was floundering over there, we call the old blinds on the north side of Randy Channel.
Yeah,
on that
right
light
out
out
there.
there.
Yeah.
In those days, we'd be maybe 15 or 20 of us over there waiting to go floundering at nighttime. And nobody got out in that water till it got dark. Everybody
right.
stayed right there on the beach.
They were the next guy to go.
And you always had one guy that supervised it. He said, all right, it's time to make a round.
Yeah.
We'd all take off. But anyway, I was way down there and I had one of these big old sacks, you know, that you hang over with the hook in about the bigger
Yeah,
hanging up.
yeah.
Push.
I wore
Yeah,
many of them.
I don't know, I had 2 or 3 flounders in there. I go along there and all of a sudden I got jerked backward like that and it nearly jerked me down the water. One of those little sharks, I'd say about that long. He had that, he got one of those flounders in that hat and he was just shaking it. He got jerking on it. He never jerked me down the water.
Well, he was trying.
You spoke about floundering. One time, Hop and Swede Swanson decided they'd go up there floundering. And the old slough, they got there and they didn't stay long. They said there were more rattlesnakes than there were flounders.
For pity's
That's
sake.
the last time they went up there. Now you see, we're talking about 50 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah, but I remember the last time I floundered was 1936.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The last
Yeah.
time I floundered was 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I floundered making a living out of it, and I was floundering over there on the corporate channel side that night when old Scotty Ellis,
Yeah.
he come up there and hollered, "Is Johnny Mathews amongst that bunch?" It was 4 fireworks over, and I said, "Yeah, I'm here." And I said, "Man, I wonder what happened now." They thought maybe something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you over on the tug Gulfport. That was pretty near midnight. I said, what's the heck you want me over there on that tug for? I went over there. Old Bugs Armstrong was captain. And he says, I've got to go down here south and try to get that little ship on the beach down there off of the beach, a little Texas banker. They're down there about 10 miles down the beach. And he says, I've got to have an AB on this boat, and I don't have none of my men are ABs. And I was the only one he knew that I had an AB ticket. I went on there. And we flew down on that ship down there. And finally they sent a tug out of New Orleans down here.
To pull him off?
Pull him off, yeah. And all of my equipment, Carl Brumley was my mate on there.
Yeah.
And old Carl Brumley, I said, he asked me, he says, "Why, you going to sell any of that stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I'll sell it." I said, if I sold it to him, but some flounder light and a gig and
The whole
and
works.
And my boots, and the boots fit him too, and an old slicker coat. I get all of that for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, oh, and I never, from that day, I ain't
Didn't
never
go back out.
I've never stuck another flounder.
The elders tell a story about the big slough up there. Well, that was my nemesis, I guess you'd call it, because I was up there. I had that little 8-foot punt skiff with me, and I was flying on the shoreline, a lighthouse shoreline. And I came to Big Slough, and I wanted to go beyond it. So I got up on, I had a little old bow up on that front of the thing, you know, and I got up and kneeled down on the bow. I had my lantern in my left hand, and my gig in the right. I was poling my way across it. Well, I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked over there, and here come a gar, about a 5-foot gar, and it just come right across my bow. I said, well, you son of a gun. So I reached up there, and I hit him with that gig, and you can't penetrate your hide, but I did. And he jerked me off the bow. My lantern fell on one side, I lost the lantern. I was in the water, my skiff was floating off, and the only thing I had left was trying to hang on to that gig, and he took it out of my hand, and I was left with nothing. And would you believe there was nobody else out that night? I walked and swam from there back down to the towboats. And somebody on the blinds gave me a ride across the tugboats. And then that was a caper that I haven't soon forgotten.
Yeah, I think I'll be going back to the house. Think that, now these things here, you read through them, and you might get some ideas of
I
something.
will.
Yeah, and whenever you get through with them,
I'll give them
come by and
back
pick them
to
up.
you.
One thing I want to know, John,
Huh?
one thing I really want to know. Who fished President Roosevelt?
Who fished Roosevelt?
Yeah.
Brother Ted first.
All right.
No, not take back, not that, but Don.
Don Farley.
Don Farley. Barney Farley, he got the name of the guide, but Don was the guide.
Yeah.
Barney Farley, he just took.
Well, that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, because Barney Farley got mixed up in that old South Grill over there with Elliott Roosevelt.
Uh-huh.
And the day of the first time Roosevelt went out fishing, he used his Liberty boat, their own, great big old, those big old Liberty boats.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used that. Well, they didn't know what they were doing. They were driving up and down there. So that night, Barney got a hold of, during that day, Barney got a hold of Elliott Roosevelt
Mm-hmm.
and said, talk to the president and see if he will go fishing with some of these guys that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Westcott went back and talked to his daddy. He come back and says, everything's pretty well straightened up. He says, only one thing, who's going to be our guide? Well, Barney come up to the old women's hall. We had a dance that night. I'll never forget that. And he says, will you go in President Roosevelt's fishing party tomorrow? I said, I don't know. I said, why? Well, he said, Don, we always talk to Don. I said, Don, well, said, we need one more boat. Will you? I said, okay. But here, meantime, they wireless or something the other to got all of our get us cleared for safety.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Inspection and,
So next morning, went down Barney's, and we went to the boat up there. Picked them up. Well,
they was anchored up there.
they was anchored up off the lighthouse off there, the Potomac.
Potomac,
Old
right.
steam yacht. Yacht, old gray steam yacht.
Yeah.
And President got John in Don's boat,
Mm-hmm.
and Colonel Watson was in that boat with 2 bodyguards, and Barney and Westcott all in that one boat.
Oh, boy.
That little boat Don.
Yeah.
Well, they put the commander of the fleet, Captain Bastille. They had the cruiser laying offshore and a destroyer laying offshore.
That's right, they did.
Yeah. They laid offshore. Or they put him in my boat and put Roosevelt's first aid doctor, McIntyre.
Uh-huh.
We went out fishing, and doing it, and I'll never forget, old Barney was sitting there, old President's shoulder all the time like that, you know. But anyway,
It's like Barney.
yeah. And the President hooked the fish. We watched him. And when Barney him up to the gaff, instead of Barney getting hold of the leader and pulling him up there slowly and getting the gaff in, he began throwing the gaff at him like that.
Oh, good night.
And he wrapped the gaff around the line and broke the line off. I lost it. Anyway, I caught one fish for Captain Bastille and one for McIntyre. We had six fish on, and we landed 2 of them. And then finally President Roosevelt landed one.
Yeah,
And,
he got one.
And then one of the other guys in the boat got one. So we wound up that day with 2 fish apiece, me and Don did. And I think Don had 7 or 8 strikes, and I had 6 strikes. And then President pulled his bill. But I'll never forget that day when McIntyre says, you haven't see, doing all day, doing that while we're fishing. The boat comes from the
yacht?
From the yacht,
Yeah.
and bringing out the messenger to the president.
Yeah.
Instead of them going to the president's boat, they'd come alongside of my boat, and then we'd have to pick up our line, go alongside of what's called, and McIntyre would deliver
The message
to Roosevelt. Anyway, coming in fishing that day, McIntyre says, you haven't met the president person yet. I said, no, I sure haven't. He said, you are when we get in.
Oh.
Dallas. I said, okay. Didn't pay attention anyway. We got in there, and Don backed up to the gangway first. And 2 sailors come down there, and they made this arm system, you know, and they put the president in between. He put his arm up, carried him up the gangway, and set him in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And meantime, when they told Don to back away, and I backed up there and put him off. I said, come on, I want you to meet the president. And I said, who's going to take care of the boat? He said to take care of the boat. So they took me all in the stateroom there. And the president was still in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
They introduced me to him. And sat there and talked about, I guess, about 15 minutes. And he wanted me and Don to take our 2 boats and put them on the deck of that cruiser and go down and fish them down.
Down to Port Isabel.
Yeah, but we wouldn't do it. Neither one of us would do it because we had already had some parties that he had to take care of. And I was a little bit leery of putting my boat, but he said, he said, John, we'll put your boat on top of there and we'll guarantee you anything damaged, says we'll take care of it.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah. I said, well, I know that, Mr. President. I said, I've got too many people that are obligated to right now to fishing. I said, I don't want to mess up. So anyway, he went down there and Barney rode the boat with him.
He went down with him?
Yeah, we went down with him.
Yeah.
And they fished out of there, one of those Liberty boats down there. They didn't use any guys down there because they didn't have no guys back in those days down at Port Isabel.
No, commercial fishermen at all.
And Barney, that's the first time Barney ever fished down there too. He didn't know what he was doing down there, so did we. And then when they come back, then my brother Ted took him. And that Ted had got a picture.
Yeah, I've
Ted
seen
sitting
that
in the boat there backing up to Barney's there, Barney's dock. And then the next day, Ed Terry took him on the 3rd time. And then the president, they left up much back.
Which one of them was it that the boatman didn't get paid?
That was me and Don.
Well, that was you and Don. Did you ever get paid?
No.
You didn't?
No, the whole thing with that was Barney Farley.
Now make that plain.
Yeah.
Tell it all.
When I asked Don, I said, they ever get money? He said, no. Said, anyway, one guy come down from up there and up in Chicago, Washington, come down fishing. And Don took him fishing. He was a Colonel somebody, I forget who he was, up there, big shot up there in Washington.
Yeah.
And he asked to talk about Don when he took him president. Don says, yeah, but And he says, well, the president treats you right. He says, they generally, you get in paying and things like that. Don said, we never got one penny out of him. That guy said, what? Never got one penny out of him. So he said, well, I'll find out what the score is and I'll go back to Washington. He come back, he wrote back, and he says, the president, the what's called department, finance department,
Yeah.
sent the money to all of the guys that handled it, and with a tip. To Barney Farley. Barney kept the goddamn.
Is that? Well, I remembered when you and I were shooting the breeze here at Elder's house several years ago. You'd mentioned something about that and it stuck in my mind. That,
Yeah. Barney, when Don got after Barney about it, Barney began crying. He said, well, I was just in a jam and said, and I used the money.
Oh, boy.
So I said, well, I'll get back. I'm going to get mine back. I just run me up about a $40 bill up there. And then he asked me about the bill. I said, you can have that bill. I said, I don't want it. I said, me and you are even now. So he knew what I was talking about. He
Yeah.
never did say another word.
I think you were getting $12 a day for 2 people of fishing tarpon in those days, weren't you?
Huh?
You getting $12 a day for 2 people?
$12 a day was getting that.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
$12 a day for 2 people.
And I was standing on the dock there when Don and the president backed in, selling hamburgers that Mom made. I had a tray full of them, hot hamburgers, for a nickel a piece. She made her own pickles and stuff to put on them. Made her own buns. They were homemade buns. And that's the job I was doing then, selling buns.
Yeah. Barney Farley and myself, those 2 guys set foot aboard that yacht.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only reason I got on there because I wasn't introduced to the president. Don was already introduced to the president, see, so was Teddy.
Yeah.
And they had Terry because they was in their boat. But the president wasn't in my boat. He was in the other boat.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only reason I got to get in there. And then here, like 2 years ago, I got a letter, a little over 2 years ago, I got a letter from Hall's family up there in Seadrift.
Mm-hmm.
On that Matagorda Island.
Oh, yeah, out there.
Hall's is on Matagorda.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to know if President Roosevelt, when he was down here, visited Matagorda Island. And I wrote her, I told her, I said, as far as I'm concerned, no, I said, he never visited. I had no island. I said, as close as he come put his foot on the island as Mustang Island, but I said, he never got out of the boat.
Yeah, well, he stayed on the yacht wherever he
Stayed
went.
up. I said, he stayed in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And he backed up to the dock where people could see him, but I said, he never got out of the boat. And I said, as far as, I said, the only way where the yacht was at down here, the only way you'd ever get to Matagorda Island was by airplane.
Yeah, because the yacht couldn't go up
I
there.
just, he couldn't walk. He's in a wheelchair, and they'd have to take him and put him in an airplane. And I said, that didn't happen. I said, he never set his foot on any of these islands so while he was down.
He was looking for a little notoriety, maybe,
Yeah.
for the island.
And anyway, I never did hear from her anymore about it. But somebody told her that the president visited Matagorda Island, but he didn't do it.
No, not that I ever remember hearing anything about either.
Yeah.
He wasn't immune to having some hard words spoken aboard that boat.
Really?
The little tender that they went back and forth with, well, they happened to come in fast when Hop was tying up.
Oh, boy.
And you know what happened in the cold in those days. I thank the Lord they put the jetties up. They can't do it anymore. But anyway, Francis was real angry. And he went on, I don't know what the occasion was. He took somebody over to the yacht, but he saw the man that had come in fast. He climbed right up and nailed him right there and read the riot act.
Is that right?
And the captain of the yacht was standing there. Hop didn't care if the world was sinking. He had to tell him what he thought. And the captain looked at the guy, and he says, that goes for me too.
Mm-hmm.
But Hop got away with it, and I'm sure
Well, he was in the right because that's
Through old Bill Ellis, I had 2 governors out at the same time fishing.
Oh,
Yeah, Governor Coke Stevenson, Texas governor,
Yeah.
and the governor of Oklahoma. They called him Alfalfa Bill Murray.
I remember that name. Yeah.
Yeah, I had those 2 out fishing together, and then the other time I had Governor Coke Stevenson and his wife out fishing. That poor lady was sick the whole time she was out there.
Oh
The
boy.
old elderly woman.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had this other governor that we had here before Richards,
Oh yeah.
old
What was his name, June? You should know.
Conley?
The previous governor before Ann Richardson.
Dallas.
White?
Was it White? It wasn't White.
No.
Conley?
Oh, good night. I know that
Yeah.
name. You know, your memory goes first,
Yeah.
John.
Well, he was the governor for
He'd been a governor before.
this governor we got now, Ann Richards.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he was the owner of this Southeastern Drilling Company, that rig that blew out off of Mexico and
Yeah.
all that oil. Well,
Yeah.
he was the owner of that rig.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
That old Sedco, they call it,
Yeah.
Southeastern Drilling
yeah,
Company.
yeah. He owned that. Well, I had him fishing. I was working for Turnbull and Dock Drilling Company, taking out the people friend,
Mhm.
and they sent him down there, and I took him out fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dolph Briscoe, who was Dolph Briscoe?
He's the governor.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Isn't that wasn't, that's not who I was thinking of, though. Dolph Briscoe was one name,
yeah,
but
he
that
was,
wasn't,
yeah, Briscoe was born too. Yeah.
that wasn't the one you're thinking of.
Anyway, he owned that outfit.
Mm.
I had him out fishing. But these 2 governors at the same time, when I had him out fishing,
That was a crowning achievement.
Bill Ellis made rain with flows for all of that.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. Yeah, Bill Ellis was in the thick of a lot of that stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Him and Ed Tarrant. Take turns being mayor.
I like this guy that created this Astrodome in Houston,
Yeah.
Roy Hawk Hines.
Mm-hmm.
He was the youngest district attorney in the state of Texas, and he come down here, and I was district attorney down here at Hatch, and he come down and fish with me. And he was a young district attorney, and then next I knew he was one that started out the Houston Astros and had that dome built. Roy Hawk Hines.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've had some of the big old boys out there fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, when you stay in as long as I have, well, you're bound to find something.
Yeah.
Well, I want to go